What's up, everybody? It's Elisa, the Funky Latina, and welcome to Let's Hear It. This is where I interview fellow music lovers as well as artists I'm currently listening to. Tonight, I will be interviewing Brother Sport, so stay tuned as we get into the interview. Paz, love, and funk. Started. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Let's Hear It. I'm Elisa, the Funky Latina. Thank you guys for joining me. This evening, I have Brother Sport with me. So for any of you who are not familiar, could each of you please introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and what role you play in your group?
Sure, Marcus, you do it first.
Hi everyone, I'm Marcus. I play guitar and sometimes bass in Brother Sports. We're from Austin, but I'm originally from the border area, McAllen, in South Texas.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm Anthony and I sing and write. And I was originally born in Guatemala, so
cool.
Vamos gente.
Yeah. My name's Isaac. I play guitar and keys. Anthony and I started the band together, so I kind of just do what I got to do. I do recording. We practice at my house. I let them trash my place every time we practice. And I'm originally from San Antonio. My mom's from Mexico. My dad's from Pakistan. And I've been living in Austin for a while. And that's where we all get together to play music and do our thing. And we also shout out to the other two members of the band. They couldn't make it tonight, but we have Gil Castillo on drums and Bobby Vela. He plays guitar and bass.
Nice. Well, shout out to them. We'll be thinking of them tonight, and maybe we'll take a shot at the end in their honor.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that too.
I like that.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. So can you guys tell me, how did you start your band? How did you guys come together?
Yeah. Anthony, do you want to take this one or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, I'll do it because you told me to do it. So I mean, I think we started, to make long story short, we used to work at the same place and I was really broke and I didn't have a car at the time, and I asked Lisa for a ride, and he, without telling me that he was going to play some music, he started playing some music, and I was like, whoa, who is this? And he was like, oh, this is something that I made. I was like, wait, what? And I was like, dude, we should just make a band. Like, I can sing over this, we can make this happen. I'll play guitar. I know how to play guitar that well anyways at the time, nor he knew how to play the keys or anything. So then we got together one day, and we quickly realized that neither of us knew how to write music. So we decided to, okay, well, we should learn how to make music. And we moved in together, and we quickly kind of just taught ourselves how to play guitar, drums, keys, produce better. So it started from us, it's just me being Isaac, and then having different iterations of different people, and finally landed on Bobby, Marcus, Gil, and it all kind of they all kind of came at different times in our lives, but it all just kind of make each of them made.
Yeah, I would say. Sorry.
I mean, each of them just kind of added their own sauce, and it was like, okay, this is.
I would say, like, over the course of time, the way that it started was like, it was like the foundation of me and Anthony's friendship was just kind of like talking about music, learning about music, talking about the stuff that I'm working on and stuff that he's working on, and just over time, like, all of our closest friends are the people in the band, and that's like what it's about for us. Mm-hmm. I mean, we met Marcus kind of along the way. He was in another band, and Anthony was like, that guy's really cool. I met him. He met Anthony. Marcus, you can probably tell the story, but like the way that Anthony told it to me, I was like at work, and he was like, "Yeah, I was at South by. I saw that guy from that other band," and I was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember him." He's like, "Yeah, he's really cool. He's gonna come play with us." I was like, "What? Okay." And then it was just like, and then you get to know someone, and then you're like, "Oh, they're really cool. We vibe on a lot of things," and so I just kind of think of the band as like the anchor for a friendship that I have with like my closest friends, rather than it being like this job that we have where we have to like go learn about a song and like learn some new chords and play this new thing. So yeah, I mean, it's just like the evolution of my friendship with my best friends is kind of like captured by the band, and we definitely try to get that across when we play shows and record music.
Yeah, I think that's definitely felt like through your music. It sounds like your band, you started out as friends and then it turned into a band. And then, like, I know it was just you two at the beginning. And I was like,
Mhm.
laughing. I was like, they kind of did like a reverse engineering of Destiny's Child, because like Destiny's got rid of people and they started with two and then they slowly added people in. So I was like, that's
Yeah, that is definitely, I've never thought of it that way, but that is exactly what it was. It was like we have like what we need just to make the songs, but we don't have what we need in order to bring them to life the way that we always imagined them whenever we play a show.
Yeah.
And like if you ever go to like a brother sports show now, like there are parts of the show where like, you know, Marcus is playing stuff that I could not pull off, and it's really cool. And it's like, this is the Marcus time. Like, this is the time where he shines. And same thing like with Gil. Like, we used to do samples for drums, and then we met like the best drummer that I've ever met, you know, and like that's Gil. And so he's like our drummer now. So it's like all the different little small ideas that we had as friends whenever we were just kind of like thinking about music, they've kind of gotten elevated with time just by meeting these people and having them brought into the whole experience. So yeah, reverse Destiny's Child. That's a cool name for a thing.
reverse
You gotta think about
I just copyrighted it, so
that. Okay, well then you'll get royalties for sure.
Yeah,
so you
that's what
guys
we're gonna name the album.
how you came together, but can each of you talk a little bit about like your personal musical journey and how that led you to Brother Sport?
Yeah, sure. Marcus, you want to start?
Definitely. Yeah, I'll
Yours is
start.
more crazy.
I mean, I like no one in my family really plays music. Like we have like I have a cousin that's like a band director, you know, like that's pretty much the musical extent. And when I was growing up, I just like played Guitar Hero and was like, this is awesome. I want to play guitar. And so I asked my parents to get me like a guitar. They got me like an acoustic, and it just kind of went from there. Self-taught, like just, you know, whatever I wanted to play, I learned how to play. And then I just ended up moving to Austin for school. Dropped out of school, you know, and then just focused on music because I was like, I love music. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I, you know, through crazy random events, I ended up being with Brother Sports and meeting some of my best friends.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like the big difference, at least whenever I think about it, between like the way that Anthony and I have kind of gone about it and the way that like Marcus, and also I think to a large extent Gil, like this is the only band I've ever been in. Like I'm not the kind of person that like can get together with another random person and be like, let's jam, or like let's, you know, let's make some music. It really has to be like a really comfortable experience for me, because I don't know, it's just like how I am. And so this, like my own personal journey came from, like he was saying, I just like, I had a really soft spot. Like I just really resonated with like rap music, and especially like sample based music. Being able to like, you know, create a whole song, and you don't have to own any gear. Like now, I mean, we live in this place, like now I have all this, like, I mean, it's not junk, it's all nice. But, you know, like I think of it sometimes, it's like there was a time in my life where all I needed was, you know, like free software, and that was it. And like I would just go to YouTube, find a cool song, and then sample it. And that was like the kind of like the ethos behind all the stuff that I was thinking about. It's just like, how can I make something cool and make something fun with like the minimum amount of stuff, you know, with the minimum amount of like knowledge. I still to this day, like, I don't know that much about music. I learn how to play our songs, and like that's like the extent of like I could never pick up a guitar. Like a lot of the time whenever we're practicing, Marcus, Robert, and Gil will just like start jamming some random cover of some random song that I like, you know, I don't know how to play any of these songs. All I know is like how to play our music. But yeah, I mean, my journey started with like trying to make rap beats, and like that was like the thing that I was really into, and just learning about samples. And then whenever I met Anthony, I was like, no offense to Anthony, but I was like, oh, if he can play guitar, anyone really can play guitar. So I was like, I guess I'll, you know, and then we moved in together, and there was a guitar in the house, and I was like, I got to learn how to play these songs that I really love. And I was like really shy about playing in front of other people at first. So I had a job where I got to work from home, and everyone else had to go to their actual job. And so I'd sit in the house and I would play really ugly guitar all day long. And then by the nighttime, I was like, oh, I can kind of get this. So it's just like a lot of what we do is self-taught. At least like my thing is like just learning this thing and being really like deliberate about like, I'm not going to give up until I can get it right. But yeah, definitely starting with like samples and then just kind of growing it from there. That's why like now whenever we record stuff, we record it on, you know, like my computer, and then I work with it from there. So yeah, it's just been a lot of kind of like taking that original idea of like just doing it with the minimum and then just growing it, bringing more people in, all that.
Nice.
But Anthony, what about your musical journey? Was it a straight shot, or was it?
I mean, people call me Bob Dylan. So, no. No, I mean, I think a lot of it's the same thing, right? Like I think, I mean, long story short, just we don't keep going on the same questions. Like I was learning how to play guitar. I taught myself how to play drums while Isa was learning how to play the guitar.
Mhm.
I not really intended to play the drums forever. It was just like out of necessity. And then quickly realized like, well, I guess now, I think at the time, somewhere along the way, I was like, oh, I can play the guitar, and started like talking to, and it was just, a lot of those things became out of necessity, not because I wanted to. And obviously I became better at writing lyrics than like playing drums, because Gail can write really. Gail is an awesome drummer. So I think that's what stuck. But I think a lot of the things that are happening in what happened in the musical aspect of my life were just out of necessity.
Yeah.
But I've loved it though, so it's cool.
That's awesome. So how did you guys come up with the name Brother Sports?
Let's make it short.
Yes, let's make it short.
We wrote about 300 to 400 names and like different story lists, like different notes. And then one day
I need to go find that note. I'm sure on one of my old iPhones, it's still there. Like we just have like this list, like anytime I heard a cool word, I was like, oh, that could be a cool band name.
Yeah, I mean, we would like do like, okay, we should do like lemon and pepper, or like it could be like fountain and black, or like it could just be like random names.
What? You're
like,
so much better at this than you were before. Lemon pepper would be a good band name. Fountain Black's really cool.
Black, yeah.
And then I think one day we finally were like Brother Sports, and he like I said that out of nowhere.
Mhm.
And then Isaac was like, yes, and that was the first time out of like millions of tries.
Yeah,
that we both.
Okay,
like,
and also
yes.
Just to make another long story short, like I think that experience that we had kind of like really truly does represent a lot of what we're going for in the band. It's like now after the fact, when we look back on it, it's like there's a lot of like meaningful elements of it. Like obviously there's that Animal Collective song, the idea of like we, you know, like we're not related, but we have like a brotherhood between me and Anthony. A lot of the things that we did with our friends, like we would all get together and we would like watch sports, you know, like, and like there's so many things about it that like after the fact, you're like, oh yeah, it seems like really smart and really thoughtful. But in the moment, it's just like, it just came out of nowhere. Like a lot of the lyrics of the songs that we have, it's
by
just
the way,
like,
he's never discussed this with me, but it makes sense. So,
but right?
No,
I mean, it is true.
It is
and
true.
like, I also kind of relate that to a lot of the music that we work on, which is especially the lyrics. Like we will have a song and then it'll just be like a demo, and then Anthony will come in and without writing anything beforehand, he'll just like think of stuff and he'll just like feel it out and then say random stuff, and then we're like, oh, that's really cool. And then whenever you like put the lyrics up on Bandcamp, it's like, oh wow, this beautiful poem that we have. But in reality, it was just like Anthony with his headphones, like literally like right over there, and he was just like, you know, drinking a little bit and like had kind of like a rough day, and so he was just like already frustrated, and he's like, I need to let it out, you know. And it's just capturing that like moment of inspiration is what it's all about.
Yeah, and
so,
I think
yeah,
that definitely
cool.
like, translates through your music. Like when people listen to your music, I know when I listen to your music, especially, what is it called? I don't know. It has 3 eyes. 3? Is it called 3?
Oh yeah, just
Yeah,
3.
yeah.
3, yeah.
I'm like Little Eyes album. But like it
Little
makes
Eyes on. I like that.
It sounds like there's this documentary and it talks all about like the beach sound. And that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me of not so much the Beatles, but it's like when I'm listening to that music, like I want to be at the beach. I want to just like be like hanging out. I actually went to the beach like last week, and that's all I listened to was like all of your music, and it was I don't know, it was just really fun. And then drinking, and then the Palantero man's there, and it's just like perfect.
Yeah, no,
That's
totally.
true.
I mean, go to the beach. I think that's like, I think we want to go to like, that's the thing. I mean, especially like during this past year, it's like, if only we could just go to the beach for a little bit, but instead we're just like making these songs, and it's just like,
Yeah.
the one thing that I could do right now would be go to the beach. And so just make a song that feels like
And
that.
even
Yeah.
like I live in Arizona, so like I went to LA to go to the beach. I drove all
Oh,
the way.
nice.
But like when I listen to music, I'm like making up music videos in my head. I'm like, oh, this is the music video that would happen for this song or that
Sure,
song.
yeah.
So that's like what it makes me think of. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, and I know like some of your music, definitely you guys have music in Spanish and in English. So how does like your background and your culture like impact you when you're creating?
Oh man, that's a good question.
That is a good
I've never
question.
thought about it that way.
I mean, okay, let's talk a little bit about like, I have such a vivid memory of the first time. So we have a song called I Still Remember, and then in parentheses, Siempre. And we played that song for the first time in Houston. And that was our first song that we've ever had that had any Spanish lyrics. And it's just like the middle portion of the song. And I have like such a vivid memory of playing that song. And actually, like, Anthony's mom was there.
Mhm.
And that part of the song, like the way that we wrote the song, like all the instrumental comes down, it's like it's really quiet, and like the light person, like, you know, dim the lights during the little middle, it was like so perfect. And Anthony just, like, you know, it was before the song was released, so Anthony just started singing in Spanish, and we had this like moment where like I will never forget this, like the whole crowd, especially, I think an important thing is like, you know, we play music in Texas, right? Like in it's different in Austin. Like Austin is a very predominantly like white city, and like especially the music scene is like very white in Austin. But in Houston, at Satellite Bar, the part of town that we were in, it's like a much more like, you know, like people of color just
Latino,
come
yeah.
out. Yeah, I mean, like
Yeah.
it's just like it has like that Latinx like vibe there, and so that's one of the reasons that we love playing there. And as soon as he started saying like that first lyric is like the word is like cielo, and he said cielo, and like no one cheers, like no one cheers in the middle of our sets
Yeah.
like that, but everyone was like resonated with that so much, and it was like such a beautiful moment just to hear a bunch of people like reacting to that moment. And then like you look over to the side, and like I saw his mom, and it's like, you know, I don't know, there was just like all of these different, like this whole combination of things that were happening. I think that was like a big learning moment for me, because I know that my own, like, you know, my own background plays into the music, but it's so not conscious. Like I know it does. I don't know how a lot of the time, but that was the experience that I personally had, where I was like, you know what, like there's a reason why we should lean into that a little bit more, because there are people out there that will resonate with that. And then, you know, one thing led to another. And then now we have like songs that are entirely in Spanish, and like, you know, and that's something that I've listened to a lot of bands that like they predominantly sing in, they like speak Spanish, but they kind of have to sing in English if they want to get like if they want to resonate with like the United States crowd. And so that was our way. Like we have a song called Telenovelas, and like that was our way of being like, dude, let's do the opposite. Like, you know, people feel like they need to sing in English in order to have an English, like, you know, US based listenership. Let's do the opposite. Like, you know, and it is what it is. I think it's like, it's a fun way of doing it. It puts us in a different mind space. But it also like allows him to articulate himself in a new way, like get in touch with his thoughts in a new way. And I don't know, what do you think?
No, that's good. That's good.
Oh, yeah, it's definitely authentic. It's supernatural, and that's the kind of music and like experiences that resonate with people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and I think the other side of it is like on the actual like instrumental musical side. I feel like there's something that Marcus has brought to the band, like just your style of playing like the guitar, and just like the chords that you're thinking about. The times like whenever we're just jamming, and then like you and Gil will get into like dum dum boom boom dum boom boom,
Yeah.
like, you know, that whole thing. I would be curious to hear from you, Marcus, like where do you think that comes into like your guitar playing and just like your songwriting?
Yeah, I mean, I think those songs, because both of those songs are like ideas that I've brought and we've like worked on together and
Yeah,
like
that's really,
made
yeah,
those
that's a good
songs.
point. Yeah.
But I think funny enough, like those songs, like even when I was just kind of like working on like a very, very rough idea, I like had the vision of those either being in Spanish or like having like either like with Siempre, like I wanted like a bolero feel. And then with like telenovelas, I wanted something more like current, I guess, like Latinx, like indie, like musics. I don't really have like a specific band, but like thinking of like how Dos Es Machina, like our homies from Monterrey kind of write, like that was like kind of like the frame of mind I was thinking of them, and like Glaze. The Glaze isn't entirely Latinx, but I think like those songs, like kind of consciously but mostly subconsciously, like were written with like Spanish lyrics in mind. So like when Anthony and like Isak as well, like ultimately kind of made the decision that we're like, oh yeah, we're gonna like actually put some like Spanish in here, or this song is gonna just be only in Spanish. Like it ended up like resonating with me in that way. But I think going back to your point about like the chords and stuff, like that's just all stuff, like music that I grew up listening to, like listening to like Los Panchos, or like listening to like even like Mana growing up. Like they use a lot of like those like really harmonic like major seventh or like minor.
Let's cover Mana. What the fuck? Why are we not covering Mana?
We do need to cover Mana, but
those are breaking news to me. We should be covering Mana, man.
Like just growing up, like I mean, if you're in McAllen, I'm guess this is true for like any border town, but like you have like two or three radio stations that are like in English, and they like, one's like the Rocks channel, the other one's like hits, and then the other one's maybe like, if the city's cool enough, they might have like a hip hop or like a party channel or something like that. But other than that, it's just like all like norteños, or it's like boleros, or it's just like classic stuff, or they'll have like the really like Christian like Catholic radio stuff going too. And like,
yeah, I wish you could be a part of our like Brother Sports group text, because like every 3 days Marcus will just like send us a random ass like Tejano song. He's like, oh, we should cover this. I'm like, okay. Cool. I've never heard that. I've like never heard that. But I mean, I think it definitely comes through. Like I hadn't even put that together. Like the two songs that we have in Spanish are the ones that you brought to the table. But I think there's definitely something to that. Like there's something, I don't know what exactly it is, but there's something about the vibe there that just made it make sense for him to sing in Spanish. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think if there was one thing that I would say, like just for the band going forward, and like, you know, we should just maybe try to be more conscious about like leaning into that a little bit more. I mean, like this conversation that we're having with you, I mean, like we have always positioned ourselves in our heads as being like, you know, like a Latinx band, like we are all people of color in the band, but it kind of gets ironed out whenever you're in the actual like music industry that we're in, especially in Austin. It's like no one wants that, like no one needs that, no one's like looking for that. But every now and then you resonate, like you have that experience with a particular group of people who are listening. You're like, you know what, that felt so much better than anything else that we're doing. Let's do more of that. And I think, like to your point, that question that you asked made me really think about that.
I think too, like when it comes to music, like first of all, like fangirls make the world go round. Like we are a fangirl, and we are the ones who are buying the tickets, buying the merch. Within that group of fangirls, they're women of color. And so it's like I'm not saying make a song to market to a certain audience, but that we like. And so it works. But I think there is a need for it. I just don't think that there's spaces for it. That's the problem. So it's like if you have, like if you guys came to Arizona or came to Phoenix, like you would sell out. I could name 3 venues you would sell out in a heartbeat. Like it's
name them right now. We'll be there whenever everyone's like,
whenever we get the vaccine.
And Valley Bar.
There it is.
No, I mean, I think that's a good point, right? Like, I think that's one of the biggest pet peeves of mine. Just living, especially living in Austin, just
let it out.
Yeah. I mean, just like being in an industry of like, or like music style that just, it's like predominantly white.
Yeah.
And predominantly just Mac DeMarco style looking like folks. Which there's nothing wrong. I love Mac DeMarco. Like I wish I could figure out how he plays his guitar. But I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really open up. And like that's why it's really cool to have avenues like this to be able to kind of say this type of things. And people like you that go out and try to actually reach out to some of the brown folks out there trying to do their share in a different way. I have, I'm gonna say I don't really care. Like there's like a lot of local radio stations in this town that have just, it always feels like purposely not even like said hello to us.
Yeah.
Even though like the next person over had like it just doesn't make any sense. And like I'm honestly at this point, I just don't even understand it. Like we love everyone. We make happy music. We like to have a good time. If you come to our shows, I guarantee you we would buy you, like we just want to have a good time. But like it just feels like it's just so like we don't fit their marketing campaign. And I'm speaking for myself because I don't want to put word on this guys, but like that's what it feels like. And I'm just not here to beg anyone. I want to like make sure that people can feel what we're trying to say, and that our music and our color and our culture and our shit feels who we are and what we are. And if you're not here, it's gonna work out. And people like you, people like, like another guy that's doing a great job with this, it's Humble Chats. Dante Elefantis also like doing a great job with like there's people out there actually trying to support the communities in order to provide like a platform. And I think that's I don't do what I do.
I like what you're saying and what you're talking about. And I think it's really important because it's not just, being a musician and being an authentic musician, but being a human being and being an authentic human being and like being yourself, like being brown and being in the music industry is a form of resistance, because it's like these spaces weren't made for us. So we have to like make our own lanes, and we have to do what we have to do to not just sell music, but to be viable. And sometimes they want you to change and, straighten your hair or do whatever.
It's like going to church. It's like, it's like, okay, so you want me to take my beanie off? You want me to just say my prayers? You want me not to eat fish? I don't know if you're not supposed to, but it's like sometimes it just feels that way. Like I have to do certain things and behave this way and look this way and feel this way, and just like I'm just not here for it. But there's also a lot of cool things happening, right? Like, I don't want to bitch because like there's also a lot, like I said, there's a lot of communities, a lot of people with a platform that are kind of helping.
So kind of tying into like what you're talking about, and you guys have played in Mexico, you've played in Austin. Can you talk about like the differences, the similarities, and like what you like or hated about each?
Let them talk, because I just go rants.
You're capped out.
Yeah.
Marcus, what do you think?
I think they're like night and day difference. I think playing, I don't mean to slight like what Anthony's saying, but like I just think that playing in Mexico is just so much of like an exciting and like awesome experience that like it makes, like when we were there playing these shows, like we always say this, I think we've said this in like to friends in like the past, but like playing in Mexico was the first time that we heard people sing like our lyrics back to us. And like we've been playing in Austin for, I've been playing with Brother Sports for about 2 years now, and like they've been playing for about like 4 years before that, I think, or 3 years before that. So like we've been playing for a long time in Austin, and we like never heard that, not even in Houston, where we do have more of like a fan base.
Yeah.
But so just being there, like, and being with the crowd who like it's very obvious that they're there to see music and to see the bands, and not just like there to, fulfill their Friday night, itch or something like that, or just to like hang out on a Friday night, go to a bar or something like that. So they're like, I guess just like the means behind going to a show are just more pure there, at least in the experience that we had, like are just like people are there to see a show, they want to talk to you, they want to buy the merch, they want to hang out, and like they want to like wish you well and like hope that you come back. Whereas in Austin, you're kind of like fighting the bartender for like attention, you're kind of fighting even just the people in the crowd, because sometimes people are just there to see their friends and like get drunk and not really like watch you play or watch the bands play.
Yeah, I agree with that, all of that. And I think, honestly, I think it's kind of a uniquely Austin problem because like what you just said about like if we went to Phoenix, like it would be such a good time. Like I totally believe that. Like I mean, we've had so much fun when we play like random shows in Houston. You know, and like anytime we're able to get out of the bubble that we're in, Austin is it's like, I mean, we live here. Like Austin is sick. Like Austin's awesome. I love Austin. I love being here. I love going to all the shows. I mean, that's the thing. Honestly, on any given night, there will be like on any given night prior to March of 2020, there'll be like 3 random shows that I could go to, and I'll probably go to all 3 of them if I can swing it. You know what I mean? And so there is something really beautiful about like being able to just like, you know what? I don't have plans tonight. Let's go to a show. And I think like that level of like, you know, not needing to think about it definitely comes through in the venues that you go to. But I mean, like, there's also, yeah, I totally agree with all like the good side about playing in Mexico where like people are there for the show and you resonate with like the group that's there. But I will just to give Austin its props. It's like, it is so busy. It's like so active. And I think like the great shows in Austin that I've been to are like some of the best shows I've ever been to because it's like such a music focused town. And so if you have, okay, and this kind of goes back to what you were talking about earlier, like if you have the opportunity to be on a bill like that, like the best bills, you'll have an amazing time. You'll have so many new fans. People will come up to you. But unfortunately, the way that it feels a lot of time in Austin is that it's like very much a click. And if you can get in, you're great. And if you can't, you're not. And like, you're not going to have that experience. You're not going to have that great time. And you're just going to be kind of sitting on the sidelines, like while the same, you know, 4 or 5 groups get to like play with this cool band, in this cool band, in that cool band, in that awesome night. And like, you know, they get to play on Saturday night and we're playing on like the Wednesday or something, you know what I mean? Like it's difficult to kind of break into that, but every now and then we get a taste of that. Like if we get a cool show or something like that. So yeah, I don't want to like dog on Austin too much because it is such a cool place to be able to like have the opportunity to play to these people that are, I mean, it is such a music focused town, but it's so saturated with music sometimes that like people don't appreciate it. And it's hard. It can sap your energy. And that's why like going to Mexico was like such a rejuvenating kind of like affirming experience for the band. We're like, oh shit, this is why we do it. You know, like we play all these little shows in Austin to build up the base in order for us to have a platform to go to Mexico and go to Houston and go to San Antonio and like go to, you know, like McAllen and like play all these other shows and get people to come out. So yeah, I don't think we would have had the opportunity to play as many shows as we've had if it weren't for living in Austin. But the best shows that we've played were in Mexico. So, you know,
because you have
yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. No, I think that says a lot too, like just like culturally, like being received and like what it's like playing around people or even being in rooms and spaces with people that look like you. Like it makes a big difference.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, like I
had okay, no, okay, wait. In 5 years, what do you think?
In 5 years, I mean, I think one of our main goals is to just keep like steadily putting out music. So I think having something physical would be cool. I think like a vinyl is where I'm leaning, and I think that's just really cool. Like everyone loves vinyl, right? Who's not going to say no to a vinyl? But what's on the vinyl, I think, is what is like more important. Like hopefully, I mean, in 5 years, my vision is that we'll have like a full length like LP out on a vinyl, hopefully released with someone like
a label,
at a label, so or someone like cool that runs something small, you know.
Yeah, I think that makes I mean, I would say like on top of that but isn't the shot.
Oh, sorry. No.
The main thing, like Anthony and I have talked about this from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The goal here is, wouldn't it be cool to travel the world and be able to play your music? Like, you know, that at the end of the day, if we ever book a show in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
I will know that the Brother Sports experiment has worked. You know, like,
yeah,
that's in my head, in the back of my head. It's like, that's the thing. If we go to like play a show in Barcelona one day, like even if it's not like, if we're able to use band funds to travel and go somewhere, play a show, and like we come back and we're not completely broke, that's a win in my book. So between now and the next 5 years, like, it's very difficult to give a very clear answer in terms of like, this is exactly what we need. But I think like the only thing that will feel like progress to us at this point is like doing what we're doing on a slightly higher level. Yeah, we've been able to book a show to where we get to go to Mexico. What about outside of like, the Americas? What if we wanted to go like South America? What if we wanted to go across, like across the sea? Like, that's the thing, at least for me, that marks what we're trying to do. Because I mean, as like, as creative humans, we have things to say. Anthony has plenty to say. Like, he'll find a way to let it out. He doesn't talk about this, but like, he went to Cal Arts, he did painting, he did photography, and for whatever reason, the creative field that he's landed on is like writing these ridiculous songs.
Yeah,
that's amazing. But for all of us, we'll find a way to like put that art out in some way. Like, I have settled into this world where like I make graphic design stuff and I get to make album covers and all that. Like, that fulfills me on some other level. But I think like the Brother Sports project, us as a group, us as like friends, the day that I get to like wake up in another country and like we have a whole day ahead of us, and like at 5 p.m. is load in, but until then we get to have lunch at this like thing that we found on Yelp. Like, that's the experience that I'm imagining, that like, I just can't wait for that. That's what we're looking forward to. And until we get there, we're just going to keep on doing what we got to do here in Austin, making musics, doing our thing, releasing songs, with like that bigger goal ahead of us. But, yeah.
Awesome.
That's the goal.
Ditto for Anthony.
I agree.
I think he agrees. I mean, because like we talked about this in the past and we agreed.
Yeah.
And then if it's changed since then,
I mean,
me and Anthony will have to have like a whole argument about this off
the only
camera.
other option is like he didn't touch on the ramen noodles along the way.
We're gonna be eating a lot of ramen noodles.
No. Yeah, I mean, I think it's correct. Like, I think it all started with a notion of being able to travel the world and make art along the way. And that has not once changed.
Yeah.
From when we were youngins, 21, 22-year-old kids to who we are right now. The only advantage is that we are a lot more prolific. That's a joke.
But yeah.
Well, this is, the internet lives forever. So in 5 years, I'll interview you guys again and we'll talk about all the shit you manifested.
Oh my God.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, but
you know what? Actually, yes, please do hold us
will.
all of this and we'll see. Yeah.
I mean, I have not said much on random stuff, but
I think in 5 years, we'll have to see whether the beanie's still on.
Yeah.
The beanie will still on. But I will say,
you don't even have.
We'll get you some. We'll get you some. You need to come down for some tacos, like
for sure. Don't invite me. I'm the person that's like, when they're like, "Oh, come over for," like, I will accept your invitation and I will be there. I'm going to Houston in June, so maybe I'll see you guys.
Hey.
Oh, what?
I mean, hey, so
awesome.
what'd you think of Dante? I love Dante. I love
Dante Elefante.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him. He was great. He's cool. We kept in touch afterwards too. After I interviewed him, he was super chill. His music's great. His music sounds like oldies, but not kind of like souldies. Like, it's like cruising music.
Yeah. But if it was like recorded now, like with really nice equipment, yeah, I totally agree with that.
It's really fun. Okay, I have one more question. This is something I ask everybody, so and each of you can answer separately. But what was the first concert you went to?
Dang. Okay, Marcus, you start.
Oh man, this is rough. So we had this
Lincoln Park.
Lincoln Park, baby. No, I mean, it's not too far off. We had this like festival in McAllen called Never Shout Never Fest, Uh, yeah, so this was like 2000,
Never shout, never fest.
2009, I think. And it's just like
2009 was your first show ever?
yeah, and it was like a fest.
Damn.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like glamour or anything like that. It wasn't like ACL.
Yeah, was it
wasn't
glamorous?
Coachella. Yeah.
I thought it might be
I had my own
glamorous.
trailer,
Maybe
you
not.
know, walked out with my feather boa, and we just went. No. But the headliner was oh man, I can't remember, but it was what's that guy's name? No, I just can't remember his name. Christopher Drew. I forget.
Jack Johnston.
No,
Christopher Drew.
He made like music under like a name. He was like screamo ukulele player guy. Really rough when you think about it. Like now.
Yikes.
Yeah, but like middle school, high school Marquitos was just like all into that for some reason.
And that's that gives you everything you need to know about our music today. That's where we get
It's all making sense now.
Screamo ukulele.
What was your first concert? Your own self?
I mean, yeah, I mean,
yeah. What was your first concert? Come on, what's the name of the band?
we had to. I mean, it was in Guatemala.
Okay.
So like the first Guatemalan concert I
Huge
went
caveat.
to. Okay, so like the first Guatemalan concert I went to was like Buenos Urbana, and then the first American concert I went to was the Green Day American Idiot tour.
Dang.
Nice.
And dude, I was like right there. Like I could see I was like 3 feet away.
Who'd you
from
go
a
with?
Joe. I don't know. That's a good question. Random people.
Random people.
You would know.
My
You're
first
my friends from the
concert.
other school.
Anyways, what is that?
My first concert was Red Hot Chili Peppers during the Stadium Arcadium tour.
Damn.
Opening act was Gnarls Barkley.
Yeah.
Oh.
It was
Wow.
so
I was
sick.
there. I was there.
It was so good.
But you were in San Antonio, right?
I was in San Antonio.
Yeah.
My ex-girlfriend got me tickets for that show. I was like 15. It was so great. It was like
That's awesome.
so much more insane and intense than I could
I just
ever
can't
expect.
believe that Fleet made that little riff for like snow.
Wait, really?
Yeah. What do you mean really?
That's
He
a
built
bass
that.
thing?
That is the bass.
Really?
I don't know. We need to watch
Marcus, is that the bass or is that a guitar?
That's the bass.
That's really the bass?
Yeah, dude.
Why don't you do that, Marcus? This is making me upset.
Why don't you do that?
All right.
Anyway,
next
sorry.
week,
Okay,
I'll
so
come.
we're-
I'll come with it loaded up, and my sleeveless hoodie.
Man,
He's on his way.
Yeah, right
that
now.
was-
Wow.
That was an
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Okay,
very,
so
very different genres. I love it.
We
Just
got Screamo
comments.
Ukulele, we got Bohemia Suburbana, and we got Red Hot Chili Peppers. And Gnarls Barkley was really because they were the opener, and Gnarls Barkley killed it.
But
It was
you
awesome.
should really look into Bohemia Suburbana, by the way. Like if you actually do like alternative rock from like in Spanish language,
Mhm.
Bohemia Suburbana is one of the best.
I'll check.
He's
it
been
out.
selling me on it since I met him, so
I
I haven't bought it
just
quite
see it on
yet. But I'm
Instagram.
on my
Check
way.
it out.
You know, I'll take it at a discount.
Thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you guys have a great night. And I'm sending you guys all paz, love, and funk. Take care.